Hello, Christopher Emmett of Christopher Bodywork, Stress Pain and Mobility Solutions. I'm interested in demoing for you today some yoga stretching for lower back pain. We might be aware and familiar with already of maybe twist stretches for the lower back. Interestingly, the vertebra of the lumbar spine, lower back, don't actually rotate. We have some diagonal muscles that run from the lumbar spine, or even better yet, from the sacrum at the base of the spine to the greater trochanter of the pelvis. But first, I would like to start off with cat and cow pose. You might be familiar with these as well. Great warm-up before any practice where we want to be loose and protected in our spine. So it's a full spinal flexion into a cat pose, dropping the tailbone down, dropping the head down as you arch the spine upwards in the tabletop position. Spread out your fingers, elongate your fingers out, draw your shoulder blades away from each other as you push your mid-back upwards. Inhale, drop the belly down as you draw your shoulder blades together, tailbone up, crown of the head up, gaze up. Inhale, feel expansion across your chest and belly. Exhale, curl to cat, full spinal flexion. Inhale, spinal extension, cow pose, tailbone up, crown of the head up, dipping the belly and chest down. Exhale, curl to cat. Next, let's do child's pose, another good one for multiple spots along the back, including down to the hips. Wherever you're feeling tightest is where you're going to feel the stretch. That's how it is in a lot of yoga poses. We're bending at multiple points of the body. So wherever you're tightest is where you're going to feel it. So with butt to heels, you're then reaching forward with your hands and chest and head, and then downwards towards the ground. And then to come out of this pose, walk your hands in towards you, underneath your shoulders to bring yourself back up. While I'm here, I like to go ahead and bring my knees together and feel some quad stretch right here. If you don't have the flexibility to bring your butt all the way to heels, it's pretty inflexible. This is still a very good place to start with that flexibility. You can take a pillow, cushion, blankets, put it underneath your butt, between your calves and your butt. That takes some of this angle out right here. Makes it a little bit easier. But the quad group is a very simple and I would say easy muscle group to stretch and lengthen over time if you stick with it daily. It's just a simple hinge joint at the knee, a very simple muscle group. Just work on this every day and you can get your butt to your heels in no time, okay? And then from here, I'm going to show you a twist stretch. So I really like this position right here, the deer pose. Both my knees are pointing in the same direction. Both my feet are pointing in the same direction. So over here on my left, I have an external rotation. Over here on my right, I have an internal rotation. So I'm actually feeling a good amount of stretch here, right here, around the TFL muscle. For this internal rotation. This tightness right here may be pushing you this way, okay? So as you push yourself back in this direction, you'll start to strengthen, to lengthen this right here. And then let's engage the core as well because we're working on that upright posture. So the core is always engaged in any action keeping the spine upright. So pull this in right here. Pulling up on the pubic bone, breathe in deeply into the belly. And so I'm going to call this leg, this left leg over here, the lead leg, since I'm kind of leading the way with the direction that the knee's pointing into. I'm going to take opposite hand, cross that lead thigh, your offhand, your other hand's still going to be close to your hip. We're going to start off still with a tall spine as we begin this twist. And then we can start to take the hand a little farther back, just a little bit more, and then anchor with both of your hands, but really try to work on the twist coming from your core as you then twist around. I'm breathing into my belly here. Notice how the breath, the expansion, and the drawing back in of the belly with the breath moves you in the stretch. Feel yourself opening up with the in-breath. Feel yourself pulling inwards and grounding and deepening with the exhalation. And then as I untwist, I'm going to take my right hand back behind me. So I'm leaning backwards with my legs still in this deer pose here. And then I'm going to windshield wiper my knees side to side, rotating at the hip sockets. My right side, and bring myself back upright again, planting myself up with my right hand. Engage my core. Again, good upright spine, good posture here. And then once I feel good and stable here, in a good upright position, I can start to twist opposite arm over opposite thigh. I'm going to rotate back around. Take that other hand behind me again to get in this backwards lean position where I can easily windshield wipe. When we're upright, it's also possible to do that windshield wiper action. Tightness on our underside will try to pull us backwards. These hip flexors on the front side are going to work really hard to hold us upright. So this might not be accessible to everyone right now. So this action and this pose is also sometimes referred to shin boxing. All right. Now for the opposite of child's pose. All right, this was child's pose. We come forward to a back bend, to Sphinx pose, or the belly down TV watching position. Breathe in deeply into the belly here. So relax into this. Being supported here with my elbows, focusing on drawing my shoulders back. Good upright posture in my neck. Just focus on that belly breathing for a few deep long breaths. Notice what happens. So when I breathe in, I'm breathing into my nose, into my belly's reaching out for the ground. As I'm breathing into my belly, and then as it expands, I can feel it pressing into the ground. It feels good. I get that ground feedback into my belly. So I'm making that connection there. And so when I exhale, I can focus on continuing to relax into this stretch. So as I just press my belly into the ground, as I exhale, the belly's coming back in, but I can keep relaxing my spine down towards the ground to maintain belly contact with the ground in this good spinal extension here. So now with the lumbar spine sinking down towards the ground, belly down here, you should feel this more between your lumbar spine and your sacrum at the pelvis. Some people feel a pretty intense mid-back stretch from this position when they hang their head down. Keep drawing the shoulders back, especially with that in-breath, expanding the chest forward, shoulders come back. Look up. Breathe in. Exhale, drop the head, chin to chest. And you probably want to counter pose this again with the child's pose. Your lower back might be getting a little achy in that position. That's okay. We're just going to counter pose that with child's pose again. So I showed you the twist from the deer pose. It's one of my favorites, one of my favorite twist poses. What's more commonly accessible to people. We're also practicing neutral spine when we put the back on straight on the ground. With your feet together and knees together, you can just rotate your hips to the side, knees come down like this. Shoulders both still stay flat on the ground. And then option B to deepen it is cross that side that you're twisting to, cross that thigh over the other thigh, knee to knee, and then come back down again. Breathe into the belly. Let that movement of the belly breathing open up your midsection, open up your lower back, let it deepen you into it. You can even add to the general spinal rotation of taking your head and your gaze in the opposite direction or to the opposite side hand. Come back up through center, uncross the legs. We can do this now on the other side. First without the crossover. Belly breathing feels so good. And I talk a lot about directing the breath to the belly. Ideally, what we work up to is diaphragmatic breathing. It's much stronger. It's important to stay relaxed right now with belly breathing. And eventually you learn to really engage this band right here. It may feel like tightness when you breathe into it. That's between your chest, your thoracic cavity, and your abdominal cavity. So in moving these core muscles with the breath, it's one of our tools to learn to open up core muscles, core strength, core stability. Bring your knees back up to center. My knees are still bent up. Heels are coming in close to the pelvis. They're together. And now I'm going to let my knees fold away from each other. Bottoms of the feet touch into a butterfly. Notice what this does between your lumbar spine and your sacrum. Bring the knees up together. Gluteal stretch might help with your lower back pain. So a simple way to do that is just pull knee to chest, thigh to chest, It's easier to do it with your opposite knee bent up. My lower back is feeling grounded with that leg bent up. If I really want to challenge myself to go a little deeper, to challenge my hips, I can extend this leg along the ground. And this does require my core to do a little bit of work to keep my lower back on the ground. Pulling in through your pelvic floor muscles is important core action here. I'm going to bend that knee up to make the transition smoother between the two. Very therapeutic stretching here, especially when you're breathing to your belly. It's relaxing into it. And then, feel free to roll around. Free roll. Play like a baby. And Shavasana. Just let it all go, sink to the ground. Thanks for joining me.